Welcome to Badger Beer Hour for April 2024. Tonight we'll have the news, a brewery report from Joel, as well as his Badger beer travels. We've got beer events, a beer spotlight, and we'll put a pretty little bow on everything with a last call from all of us, except for Chris. Chris is off tonight. So, Greg's going to help me. Let's get to the news. Hey, Greg.
You're going to help me.
Sure. However you want to say that.
Oh, we got a lot of news.
Yeah, we do.
This week.
We do.
Yeah, this month.
We're going to start with national Badger beer news, not local,
Yes.
national. Yeah.
Yes. The Brewers Association came out with their top 50 craft breweries in America. And as you can see in Wisconsin there, we got 3. Y'all probably know who they are, but let's go through them here. So one cracked the top 15, one Wisconsin brewery, New Glarus, of course, y'all. Backed by, as we were just talking about, Spotted Cow and all the other wonderful brews that they give us year round. Before we move to the top 50, Landon, anything jump off of you here outside of New Glarus?
I mean, Yingling, obviously. I'm surprised that they're still on top, to be honest with you. That's we see some of it here in Wisconsin now, but yeah, that's something. Otherwise, I mean, you expect Boston Beer Company to be on top. Sierra Nevada, I guess.
The whole Dogfish thing, Boston, I thought would excel them up, but I guess they're keeping Dogfish.
And I think in the top 10, the thing that will tell you the most about our current state of the beer industry is Athletic Brewing Company, which is an NA. They brew NA beer. So that really jumps out to me.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even notice I'm creeping in there at 10. Look at that.
Yeah, 10.
Wow. That's legit.
That's not just cracking the top 50. That's cracking the top 10.
Right. Well, damn. Good on them and good on NA beer. I don't drink it that much, but I love the concept and I love that it's available. We've talked about this a couple times.
Yeah.
So then we move to the top 50 here, and then we see Stevens Point Brewery, which we will talk about later in the news, and we will also talk about on the Badger Beer Travels. So they're front of mind this Badger Beer Hour for sure.
Yeah.
And then Minhas, obviously a bigger beer contract brewer mostly, right? Because we don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when we started the craft, I guess the advent of craft beer, the big run, probably a decade or a little more ago, you heard about Minhas a lot then, but that's a name. Unless you see it written out like that, that's not a name that really just rolls out of anybody's mouth at any given point.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So those numbers are always interesting.
Yeah.
Always fun to watch, going deeper in the nose. But yeah, the 3 big ones here. I would love to see another one creep in, but I think Landon, we have to just be. I mean, it's cool to look at that and be like, yeah, look at Wisconsin represent, but we don't want our breweries to get too big that they can't, too big to fail. Right. And you know how this goes.
Oh yeah.
Ale Asylum would be one of the ones I would unfortunately have to talk about. So
right.
Yeah, Landon, what's going on with our next piece? I'm interested to talk about this next one.
Let's see here. It's the 51st State Brewing.
Yeah, yep.
They're offering bagels.
Yeah, and while not in Wisconsin, they are not a Wisconsin brewery. They are 5 minutes away from Wisconsin here.
Might as well be Wisconsin, right?
It might as well.
Might as well.
Let's see here. Where are we at here? Let's see. How do I get this back up? Okay, here we go. Yeah, so 51st State Brewing now offers bagels. They are, as you will see here. So look at this map, Landon. Look at the one on the. You see how it's almost
Yeah.
covered. It's almost surrounded by Wisconsin, but it's
Yep.
actually in Michigan up there, and UP of Michigan that should be Wisconsin anyway.
Right.
I think the 51, the name comes from if there was a state in between those two, it would
Right.
be 50,
Yep.
the 51st. So that's fun. They have a little bit of a sense of humor, but the story behind this is really interesting. So uh when I first read this, when I first saw this article, I was like, oh, so they're making bagels because the beer, they're having trouble selling beer.
Yeah.
No, actually, they're expanding and they needed more capacity. So they bought another place to brew. So then when they bought another place, the place where they brew, which is now, where their brewery is, they had an open spot or a place that they weren't using. So they
Sure.
started a bagel shop and
Hey, why not?
bagels, and so they're using it. We've seen this business plan a little bit with our friends from Venture and Bully How, where they do coffee and like breakfast things, and then they can open, or then I mean, you can open whenever you want as a brewery.
Right.
It's
Right.
nice to have some offerings of coffee, and so like Venture has that vibe where it's like a coffee shop in the morning and then it's a brewery at night. I feel that this is probably going to be the same kind of way here. So shout out to them just for doing something different. Seeing that space and yeah. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think that's amazing. Actually, later in the news, we've got a similar story that's up by me. So, um, I think now in the craft beer world, unless you're just super well established, you're gonna have to start adding stuff like this. A lot of people, bring in the food trucks and stuff to, you're bringing in people that aren't normally coming in, that aren't your regulars on the regular every day. um you see people doing trivia, all those other things that you have to attract people, because the beer just isn't enough to get everybody in the door all the time, at least
Mhm.
consistently enough to where you're making the money that you need to make.
Yep. And the main reason why we got this, Scott, we have this as a news piece before we move on, is because that expansion of their brewing house and their brewing equipment
Yeah,
is going to allow them to distribute into Wisconsin, y'all. So
sure.
look for look for 51 here, 51st State Brewing. I've never had their beer, and I've never heard of them until this year or until this week.
Yeah.
So look for them up in the upper reaches of Wisconsin, y'all. They should be reaching into that pretty soon here as they ramp up production. So good to see this, fun to see this, and yeah, Landon, I'm cool with that. I'm down. I'm down
Yeah,
with the
yeah. I
bagel, some
I
bagel and locks.
if we can get
Yeah.
a brewery to bring in like a hot dog cart or something like that, $2 hot dogs, I'd be all about that.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
And news from your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
That was kind of your neck of the woods, but this is definitely really more your
Yeah,
wheelhouse.
this actually is downtown Eau Claire. So they've been working on this. I think they announced it, I want to say in the fall. Phoenix Tap Room in downtown Eau Claire. Um, a younger couple, and I don't mean to, judge that they're younger, but they do look younger. So they're definitely younger than me. Let's put it that way.
You're just
That,
jealous.
yeah, I am. Totally, 100% jealous. Uh, so they announced this back, like I said, back in the fall, that they were going to open. There was an open space in a business office building downtown. We really don't have anything that overlooks any of the rivers, and
Hmm.
we definitely, we have Lazy Monk that you can kind of see the river. Brewing Project, you can kind of see the river, but there's trees in the way. And this one, they're gonna be right They're going to be big windows that overlook the river. The biggest thing about these guys is that they're going to have 72 taps. So we don't have anything like that. I mean, we have some that are, I think the firehouse downtown has maybe got 30 or 40 taps. Um, there's another bar in town that's got 40 taps, 72 taps plus a full cocktail bar, and they're bringing in food. So it's a lot to undertake. I think when they first started, they just said, we'll be up in the spring. We'll have these 72 taps. Obviously, it's taken on a whole new life, an additional life, I guess. I walked by there the other day, and it's full on construction, and so 72 taps. I've been to a place that had 100 taps before, and all you can do is and we're in a weird spot. Eau Claire's in a weird spot, and I don't know why, because we're a decent sized city, 70,000 whatever, and that's just Eau Claire. We don't get a lot of like unique beer. We miss out on a lot of Madison beer. There's a lot of Milwaukee beer that doesn't make it here. There's a lot of Minnesota beer that doesn't make it here. So what are they going to put on tap, you ask? I have no idea, but I do look forward to seeing when it's finished. I think they're taking their time now. They're doing it right, it seems. But 72, that's it's a big
64
number.
too many?
It's a big number.
Is it 64 too many?
I don't know if it's 64 too many, because when I go out to drink, I like to try something that I haven't tried before. But
right, this place looks massive,
and it is the whole first floor, basically. So
I hope a place like Eau Claire can sustain it. Y'all a small community, big on beer, of course. I mean, y'all got great beer places, no doubts, no doubts.
I like to call Eau Claire the biggest small town you'll ever go to, because everybody knows everybody, and you can't walk anywhere without seeing somebody you know. So yeah,
it's a fun little spot. So so we got some older news, but if we didn't mention it, I don't know, I think we'd be doing malpractice. So
yeah. So we got some big news coming out of Point. Actually, before that,
my bad. Yeah,
no.
we'll get to that first. So this is a little breaking news. I'm not sure how many people know this. We got this on the back channel because we've been talking to Point Brewery here, because we're going to feature them. Badger Beer Travels, but Stevens Point Brewery has a new tap room and hospitality center, y'all. I don't know if you've ever been there. They've really only offered a tour, and then you get a few beers after the tour. Well, Point is going to be opening a new public place after ribbon cutting on Wednesday, May 1st at 10 a.m. All are welcome. I love that time to drink beer. So a Wednesday at 10 a.m. That's Wisconsin. That's great. So really, really excited about that. These are the pictures that they sent us of what it looks like inside. Or let's get to the details first, y'all. It's going to include a new gift shop, tap room, outdoor beer garden, which sounds fantastic. This is the first time Stevens Point will have a tap room open to the public. That's great. Open date 7 days a week. There's going to be 24 different products on tap. You see here, they're going to have some, when you think of Point Brewing, you just think of Point beer mostly.
Right.
And I think of Whole Hog, by the way, but we'll get to that in a second. But look at these beers: a pickle beer, a dark lager, an Irish red. Look at that, a white ale. So
classics, except for that pickle. That is not. The pickle's not a classic, but
no,
the rest of them, classic style beers. Yeah,
true. And they're branching out. It feels like they're branching out. Maybe it's just a little bit afar. They got 2 ciders, and then of course the Point favorites: Point Amber, Point Special, and and then the Whole Hog there looks like they're gonna have the Whole Hog on Nitro. I think this is just the first the first menu. 24 different products on tap. So I'm excited about this because I love Stevens Point Brewery. It's just an old school brewery. It gives off those lakefront vibes, or maybe lakefront gives off Stevens Point vibes, something like that. Gotta respect them both because they're both old school, and Stevens Point has been around forever. So you almost have to, talk about, you have to talk about Stevens Point, in my opinion, in reverence.
Yeah,
But this is
yeah,
what it's gonna look like inside. I love the old school. It gives that old school
yeah.
point feel to it. Looks really great. I don't know. This looks really, really fun. So as the slide said, y'all, let's see here. Let me get back here. So real quick. So that is Wednesday, May 1st. We got to put this under the events, but to me, this is news because
Yeah,
they've never had a tap room.
right.
And yeah, what are your thoughts here, Lynn?
I think that's great. It may be a few years too late, but I don't think it's ever too late. I think it's a great time now to capture more people and bring them in, keep them there for a while, so they can drink beer and point beer and to your point, whole hog, good stuff.
Whole hog.
That white stout, and if you're into pumpkin beer, their pumpkin from Whole Hog is fantastic. So good
Landon loves
stuff.
his pumpkin beer.
I love my pumpkin beer.
Yes,
Yeah.
good stuff, good times, and we'll have more on point here coming up on Badger Beer Travels, so y'all can check that out too. But yeah, happy for Point.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yeah.
good times, good times. So now I think uh we're back to your neck of the woods, actually, right,
Yeah,
Landon?
back to mine. It's very rare that we have this much news coming out of my neck of the woods.
All right, it's wild.
Yeah, yeah. So Kugels, they've been in the news a lot lately, so good for them. They're teaming up with Johnsonville.
Yeah, for some summer
So
shandy
making I'm
drop.
you almost wonder why this hasn't happened before, right? Uh, that beer brats is such a Wisconsin thing that you would have thought that long ago when summer shandy first came out, they would have said, "Hey, let's make summer shandy brats."
Hmm.
But finally, we have it. So there they are, and I bet they're delicious.
Yeah. So thanks Biz Times for this the photograph and this little clip here. London Googles is teaming up with Johnsonville for the ultimate beer and brat pairing. It was only a matter of time. Right. Like Lindsay just said, it was only a matter of time.
Right?
I don't know. I see the summer shandy brats will be available at the Barrel Yard, American Family Field, which we'll talk about a little bit more coming up here. Joel's going to have some things about that. Then they can be purchased at retailers in 19 states, including Wisconsin, for a limited time. Y'all better go out and get these. I don't know when they're coming out, but they're not.
Yeah.
This isn't going to last. This is not. This
I've
is
been seeing a lot of advertisement for it, so I think they're probably you can probably find them now. Yeah.
you better. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you go. There you go.
father-in-law had them quite
Yeah.
good. Okay, so was it like I'm interested. I don't even like summer shandy. Y'all know it's not my favorite beer in the world. Not even my favorite at all. But I'm in on this. I'm gonna try this whenever I can, Landon. So if I see them, I'm grabbing them. I'm almost afraid that we may not see them just because summer shandy is
It's
such a hit.
possible.
It's
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
hit. People love that beer all year round. I've heard of people buying cases and trying to like keep them because they can't get them. The whole New Glarus thing. So I
Uh,
don't know. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't. I think that's a bit much. But if you like it, you like it. But
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Line and Kugels does a lot of beer stuff locally here. So there's a locally owned ice cream place every year. They make Oktoberfest ice cream that has the Oktoberfest beer in it. Doesn't sound like it'd be great, but it's damn good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So and it's you would think that this would be a bigger thing outside of, and granted, uh, brats, Wisconsin beer.
Mm,
It makes sense at least for Wisconsin, but you know, obviously Johnsonville brats are everywhere. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, this is gonna work. This is gonna work.
yeah, this is gonna
So
work.
this
Yeah,
is gonna work.
they'll sell
This
the
is gonna
crap
work.
out of them. Yeah, they'll sell the crap out of them.
So we have a rebuttal here though too, Landon. Our friend of the show, Maggie Skinner,
Yeah.
um, saw I posted that out there that Lightning Giggles is doing this, and I actually posted why are we doing this? But obviously, why is because A, it's gonna sell, and B, money. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Maggie Skinner says, I see and raise them Revolution Chicago Infinity Hero beer brats. All right, all right. I don't know
Is it?
where J Groupie Food Market is.
Yeah. Are
But
they?
if you do, y'all should go
No.
get them.
Yeah. Is Infinity Hero an IPA? I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
what. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure how IPA would be with a brat, but I'd be interested to try it.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure what a shandy beer would be with a brat either. But I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what Oktoberfest tastes like with brats, and it's good. So
But I know I want to try them both, and that's what it's all about, right?
absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
that's what it's
Mhm,
about.
mhm. All right, all
All
right.
right,
So
we're gonna keep the news here in Eau Claire. So
yes, let's do that.
I kind of alluded to this earlier about bringing in food, and we had talked a little bit about brewery being like a coffee house during the day and brewery at night. So Bloomer Brewing Company decided they were going to do something similar. Um,
Mm,
for those that live around here, everybody knows. Well, not everybody knows Bloomer. A lot of people probably know Bloomer Brewing, but even more so, people know Bohemian Ovens. So Bohemian Ovens is also out of Bloomer. They are known for their kolaches. So Bohemian kolaches, Czech food,
mm,
primarily a breakfast spot, but they do a lot of like kolaches that are savory. So the ones that have bacon and egg and sausage and egg and those kinds of things. If you actually go to the place itself, it's a sit down restaurant. Locals serve you. It's a great time. So they decided to team, and right now in Bloomer, they are literally across the street from each other. So they decided to team up again because right now Bloomer sells um, Bohemian Ovens food in their brewery. So I haven't gotten the backstory on this of why they decided to move it to Eau Claire, but I know this is like the third attempt because they've had two different spaces that they said they were going to move into, and then it just kind of went quiet for a while. And
mm,
now they found their seemingly spot downtown. So they're gonna move into this, and I'll probably butcher the name. This building is called the Andante Building. It is
mm,
primarily an apartment building with shops on the bottom,
mhm,
and so they will be located on it would be the west side of the building on the first floor. There's there's an it's not an antique shop. I think they call it a vintage shop. That's down the way. There's like a record shop somewhat down there. So a lot of new businesses moving in. I think it's a great spot for them. The only problem that we have in Eau Claire is good luck finding parking. So, um,
mm,
but
mm,
Bloomer Beer is gotten really good since they've moved to a different spot.
mm.
So um, I think we have room for another brewery here in town. Some people might tell you different, but uh, it's all on a matter of who you talk to. But
Right, right.
yeah,
Wow. A lot of news coming out of your way, and recently it's kind of not been the good best news. So I'm embracing
hey,
all of it.
yeah, embrace all of the good stuff, right?
And I'm gonna embrace our last news piece before we get to our friend Joel here. It's a follow-up from a previous news piece.
Yeah, we've talked in the last year. We talked a lot about Wisconsin brewing and Lake Louis. So it's a follow up to that.
Yeah, the Dock House opened last Friday,
Yeah.
which is their brewery that's right um in the baseball field.
Yep.
Apparently, it's the first brewery ever in a baseball field in Wisconsin. If you can believe that, Landon,
Wow.
that's wild. That's kind of wild,
Yeah.
actually, because
Yeah.
we're Wisconsin. We're first in
You would
beer
you
for
would you would
everything.
think that would be all over the place around here.
Right. I mean, we got
Yeah.
like what 6,000, Milwaukee beer gardens. We got like you know what I mean? So no brewery in a stadium yet. So this open, shout out to Kirby Nelson, who is a Wisconsin brewing legend here in the state. Started with Capital, went over to Wisconsin Brewing, and now Wisconsin Brewing is now Lake Louis Brewing. But yeah, so this is happened last week. So yeah, actually, do we have I think we have something here to talk about, right? No, 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 not that. That. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, craft beer fans will have the best of both. There at Wisconsin Brewing Company Park is what it's called, even though it's Lake Louis beer. We talked about this, kind of weird, but it was April 14th and it was free and open to the public. The 5 bar brewery is called the Lake Louis Brewing Dock House. Let's see. Not much else. They had free samples and some beers, and they had a ceremony tapping into the first keg. So,
And
y'all all missed that if y'all weren't there. Sorry,
and
but
if you drive by on the interstate heading down to Milwaukee, you can't miss it. There's signs for it
you
everywhere,
can't
so
miss it.
you can't miss it.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it down there with the family a little bit, and check it out and check out the brewery. Good times. And that's just an update, y'all, because we talked about it before. And I think we talked about it last month's events, but we do this once a month, so but we wanted to keep y'all up on that. So that's cool. At this moment, it's time for to introduce our brewery. Well, we're all brewery
Well,
experts, but
you better before we get to it though, you better do what Chris normally does.
oh,
And
and
that is the news for April 2024.
look at that. You got it.
Yeah.
Hi, Joel. Joel's here for
What
Brewery
this
Travels. How you doing?
is the Leinenkugel's pilot brewery in AmFam Field not count as a brewery?
I suppose we can count that as a brewery, sure.
I mean,
Why
they
not?
brew
Wow.
there. I'm
Yeah,
literally
if they
have a,
if
They
they
I'm,
brew
I'm
there.
about to
yeah,
highlight a beer that is
if they,
brewed
if
there.
they if they brew there, sure.
They got a
Yeah.
system there. It's a
Yeah.
pilot system. It's not as
Um,
big, but
no, it's not as big. And no to this.
you have a
We don't
minor
need
league baseball stadium needs one of those, then I think they need to reevaluate.
Yeah, right.
Right, right. So Joel, what's going on with our breweries this month?
Well, actually, not a ton. I can go ahead and add this to the stage. So for our Badger Beer Hour Brewery report, it's actually kind of a quieter month, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We technically the opening is one that we missed earlier, and that was for Half Fast Brewing Company, which is up in Spring Valley, Wisconsin. So if you're over
Hmm.
there on kind of the far western side of the state, this is one that you can now go and visit. And unlike all the other new breweries that we kind of highlighted last month, this is not an additional tap room or just a new space. This is a fully brand new brewery that is opening. So that is very exciting. And no breweries closed this month. So that's a good thing. And because of that, you know, nothing crazy numbers wise, pretty much, holding steady because of that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm sure I know we have in our chat, we've talked about quite a few breweries that are kind of on the cusp here of opening, whether it's fully new breweries. And I know there's also quite a few kind of additional tap rooms and spaces that are on the cusp of opening. I know there's at least a few here in the Milwaukee area. And so here we are again with kind of our county breakdown. Just like last month, there's no changes to this. Once again, just kind of showing you the lay of the land, where a majority of the breweries are in around Milwaukee and Dane counties. But it's nice to see a little bit more of the darker green spaces kind of getting filled in other parts of the state as well. And we also wanted to include this at the end here because this is something that we talked about when we realized that we forgot to add half fast last month. Is if you know of any openings or closings, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us, because although we are keeping, as much to the grindstone as we can and doing whatever we can to be on top of every opening, every closing, there are some of these really small breweries that, aren't really publicized much in terms of their, usually an opening is at least more mentioned by news media, but some of the small breweries may just have a post on Facebook or Instagram that, hey, we're closing, and that's all that you hear from it. So especially in kind of the more rural parts of the country, if you hear of a brewery closing, feel free to email us, reach out to any of the four of us on Twitter. We may have heard of it, but it does not hurt to double check, because we want to try to keep this list as accurate as possible and really staying on top of it so that we can be providing all of you with the most up-to-date information. So again, there's the information, Brewery Travels. That's me, Chris, Wisconsin Beer Baron, Daddy Porter blog, Taproom Travelers, or just the Badger Beer Hour Gmail if you prefer to send emails and not on Twitter. But yeah, that's kind of, like I said, kind of short and brief. But when you have one opening and no closings, makes it pretty easy this month.
Yep. And also, we have an update of a brewery that you talked about pretty extensively last month.
Yes. Well, and I forgot that you had that all pulled up there with Low Daily, because I was going to mention that during the beer travels. But one of the breweries that we highlighted in Badger Beer Travels last month has some exciting news, where Low Daily, one of the Burlington-based breweries, has signed a partnership with General Beverage to distribute their beer. So hopefully, I think we actually talked about this on the live stream, how if you wanted to try any of these beers, you were probably going to have to go to Burlington. That may no longer be the case. I don't know if we got any other details exactly on timing and everything, but I'm sure coming up here in the nearest future, hopefully.
Yeah. Nearest future.
My mic unplugged there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, for Low Daily, you can keep your eyes out, see if you can find any of their beers on the shelves anywhere, because they make some good stuff. So I'm excited to see if I can spot some here in the Milwaukee area.
Yes. And that's excellent. That's an excellent update.
Yes, General Beverage. I think that is like what it would be. Like, that is the most basic name for a distributor out there.
Yeah.
And we have a endorsement here for Low Daily. I need to get down there, but maybe now that we're distributing, maybe some will pop up over here. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is true, but kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
yes. All right, so I think that's a wrap on Badger Beer News for April 2024, and I can't do it as good as Chris, but I got Chris in other areas, so okay. Let's see here. All right, y'all. Which one are we doing here? Oh, we don't have it here, y'all. So we're going to, I don't know what we're going to do. Oh, here we go. Here it is. Wow, very prepared here, y'all. Next we have Joel with the Brewery Travel Report in Portland County, Wisconsin.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop this bad boy up there, and we've kind of hinted at this. I know that we mentioned Point Brewery already, but today's Badger Beer Travels is going to be a little bit different. We are not going to hone in on just one city like we did previously with Oshkosh and Burlington. Instead, we are going to go to Portage County. And this is because in a lot of these more kind of smaller ruralish areas in other parts of the state, the breweries are maybe a little more spread out. There's not more than one or two in a lot of the cities. And so combining them, there we go. So combining them is a little bit easier in this facet. So without further ado, a little introduction to Portage County. It's about as central to the state of Wisconsin as you can get. It's got a population around 70,000. It's actually named for a portage between the Wisconsin and Fox Rivers. That shouldn't be a huge surprise. The big city here is Stevens Point, home to the University of Wisconsin. Stevens Point is something that, that's kind of the major hub. And there's a couple other small suburbs to that, as well as some other towns scattered around. For getting kind of a distance check, you're over 2 hours from Milwaukee. As you go further north there, you're about an hour and a half due west of Green Bay. And there's a few other things to do there. I know they have a nice sculpture park in Stevens Point. And I actually took when we visited there, this was a few years ago now, but my daughter was very small. She was a baby, and we took her to the Central Wisconsin Children's Museum and had a great afternoon there. That also included some brewery visits, which we will get to here in just a second. And actually, to kind of give you now, as I mentioned, the lay of the land in terms of the whole county and why we're doing this as a county instead of just doing Stevens Point. Well, Stevens Point does have 2 breweries, and we did just do a town with 2 breweries, but there's other breweries in this area that I want to make sure we highlight. And if I didn't highlight them now, I don't feel like we would be coming back to them. So there are 5 breweries that we will be touching on. The first 2 are both in Stevens Point Brewery that we already have discussed, as well as District 1 Brewing. And then just south of there, about 10-15 minutes, is Oso Brewing in Plover, which is a brewery that some of you may be familiar with. They at one point had a location also in Madison, and their stuff is very widely distributed. And then to the northeast, there we go, McZee's Brew Pub. And then to the south of there is another one of Wisconsin's big names, Central Waters Brewing. And we will get to all 5 of them here. And first up, we are going to talk about District 1, because you saw on the map, they're kind of the ones on the north side of Stevens Point. They are actually named for the neighborhood. It's called the First District. And they are kind of one of the more new kids on the block in this particular area, as they opened up kind of in earlier 2021. It was formerly actually a grocery store, which I found to be interesting. And when I was on their website kind of browsing their stuff, they have a huge tap list. Over, they had at least 25 options, and I know there's a little ebbs and flows, so I'm sure sometimes there's a little bit less, sometimes there's a little bit more. They've got pinball, they've got a bunch of indoor games, they host a variety of events, they have a live music stage. So it really seems like a place for kind of the community to come together and have a variety of activities. And from what I could tell, like I said, they really kind of run the gauntlet with beer. They have stuff like the Skill Mill Pills, just a regular Crazy Days IPA, a nice Scotch Ale, milk stout, while also doing some fruited sours, some more adventurous kind of trendy stuff. So this is definitely a place. This is not one that was open when I made my trek up to the area. So it will definitely be on my radar if I'm ever back there, for sure, because it does look like a really cool taproom space, as well as one of those places in terms of breweries that I like to be able to send people here in the Milwaukee area, like a Third Space or a Lakefront, where kind of no matter what style you're looking for, there's probably going to be something on tap. And that seems to be kind of what they're going for. Did I skip? No, I didn't. Oh, Point's at the end. I thought Point was the next one. Never mind. We'll go to Oso's now, and that is in Plover, and they were founded back in 2007. They are now located in an old Shopko building. They made that move actually since I was there. They were actually across the parking lot in a different space when I visited. They have their own kitchen with sandwiches, pizzas. They also host a variety of events as well, whether that be live music, yoga, cornhole league. And they also have an annual 5K to benefit the Never Forgotten Honor Flight, which is coming up very soon. They have over 30 taps. This is another place that apparently if you're up there, you're just going to have a ton of options for beer when you stop in. They also offer wines, cocktails, NA beers, ciders. So Again, food, events, tons of beer, tons of other different types of drinks. Kind of no matter what you're looking for, there's something there. I like to highlight the Infectious Groove Sour Ale, which is a very, two style sour ale. When I first moved to Milwaukee back in 2016, there weren't that many breweries that had like a true sour program, especially that distributed sour beers. And at that point, I was really into sour beers. And Infectious Groove was not only readily available, it was also a very approachable at a price point. Like I think you get for $10 for a 6-pack. And so I drank quite a bit of the Infectious Groove. And so I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for that beer. Their Night Rain Porter is another one that you see quite often. The big 2.0 wheat ale, haze positive IPA, and they also make quite a few different of the bourbon barrel aged imperial stouts. I think, as you can tell by the name 2024 Narcissus Bourbon, they come out with a different every year, different variants. So definitely, a brewery that I think many people are familiar with. I think 3 out of the 5 of these breweries are ones that many of you have probably at least heard of if you haven't tried beer from them. Next up, I am going to skip ahead here because I do want to stick with the Stevens Point's breweries. And Point Brewery was founded in 1857. And this was kind of my hint last month when I said that we were going to talk about a historically significant brewery. And Point Brewery is the 5th oldest continuously operating brewery and the 3rd oldest privately owned brewery in the entire nation. And so I don't know if everyone knows that is from Wisconsin, that we have, because we talk about a lot of the brewing history here in the state. And I think Point Brewery does not always get the shine that it maybe deserves because they've been around for so long now. They went through a large expansion, not just now about a decade ago. And as we talked about earlier in the events, they are going to be opening up an actual designated tap room, which is going to be awesome for them. When I visited, obviously, we did take the tour. My wife, who does not like beer, came with me, as well as I had my, at that point, infant daughter strapped to my chest. But we had a great time taking the tour. And they kind of run you through the history, through the facility. And then at the end, you get to try a lot of their beers, or as it shows there, the different Cider Boy line. They also make their own sodas, which is what my wife sampled, and the Whole Hog brand. And there at the bottom of the examples of beer, the Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale. I know that was also discussed earlier. And for me, that is one of the best pumpkin beers I've ever had. I know that particular pumpkin beer has won several medals. It's an award-winning beer. And we kind of already talked about some of these other ones too already too. There's the special lager, the amber lager, the Point Bach beer, as well as the Green Circle Pale Ale. The Milkshake Malt Porter was one that we didn't mention before. And that's another one, though, that I kind of have a soft spot for. I do enjoy that Milkshake Malt Porter as well. Going back here now, we will next stop is at Central Waters Brewing Company. This is another one of the big boys in Wisconsin craft beer. I think, especially once you venture outside of, you kind of talk about your New Glarus, and then you start talking about like kind of the Milwaukee and Madison areas. Central Waters is a heavy hitter located there in Amherst. They moved there from Junction City in 2006. When they were founded there in 1998. They do offer free tours, and I was granted kind of a special tour. I had to go up on a day that was kind of an off time for them, but I was able to reach out to some people because they were not only my 500th brewery visit, they were also my 100th brewery visit in the state of Wisconsin simultaneously. And I'm actually wearing the long sleeve shirt that I got when I visited. And the tour is awesome. I mean, the barrel facility is essentially an airplane hangar just filled with barrels. You can kind of see that one picture there. It's kind of hard to see. That's one of the ones I took on the tour. But if you can see, there's all the barrels on the floor. And then if you look further back, there's literally just barrels stacked up on one another. And they are nationally renowned for their barrel aging program. It's what many people love them for. It's a great spot. And they also have a lot of other interesting facts about them. All their barley comes from Reese Malting in Chilton, Wisconsin. They were one of the founding breweries for the Midwest Hops and Barley Company. And they were also the first brewery granted entrance to Wisconsin's Green Tier program. So they are a brewery that has continuously kind of pushed the envelope. And in relation to that, they also now have a location in Milwaukee here in the brewery district where all the old Pabst buildings are, just on the edge of downtown, and have a pilot brewery down there, make great beer. I've made my way to that place number of times, in particular before going to a Bucks game. And some examples of the beer, I already talked about all their barrel aging things. You see at the bottom, example, the Brewers Reserve Bourbon Barrel Stout. They have a lot of beers like that. But they also have, some of the more classic, I guess, easy drinking, approachable options that you will see more in distro. Would be the Honey Blonde Ale, the HHG Pale Ale, the Rift IPA, Mud Puppy Porter, Tomorrow River Helles, which that last one is probably the one that I go to the most. But yeah, great beer, great facilities. Definitely a brewery that if you have not visited, I would try to get to, because the overall experience is great there. And last, not least, McZee's Brew Pub in Rosholt, established in 2016 in a former IGA store on Main Street. And this is a small town. I forgot. I looked at the population and I completely forgot it. Want to say it was, it's a few hundred people, but not overly large. And it's a small downtown there, but you can go in, get your pizzas, sandwiches, flatbreads, salads, etc. And one thing that I found interesting, besides your, run-of-the-mill kind of events, they also recently had partnered up with one of the local art teachers and displayed projects from the local junior high school and high school. So you can kind of see that. That's kind of the bottom picture down there in the lower left, where they had a bunch of the students' art projects up, which I thought was probably a good way to get all of the students' parents to come in and buy beer, if they were not already aware of them. So, and as you can see, they take a pretty traditional approach from what I could tell with a lot of their beers, nice pale ale, Hefeweizen, golden ale, IPA. I did see that they had a Rosh beer, the smoked beer, which that would be one that I would like to try. But yeah, so to kind of go back here I'll go back again here to the map before we end up, to kind of make sure that everyone remembers where these breweries kind of are. Obviously, 3 of them are kind of located in or near Stevens Point. Depending on where you're driving from, Central Waters or McZee's could be on the way. But otherwise, could make, if you're up there in the Stevens Point area and spend a night, be a nice little beer trip up there. Because again, like I said, you have one of the oldest breweries in the country. You have 2 breweries that are well established and well distributed all across Wisconsin that offer a huge variety of beers. You have a nice little brew pub in one town, and you have another brewery that offers a ton on tap, as well as a bunch of events and games. So definitely a very cool and interesting beer scene there in Portage County. And I am looking forward to seeing where we go next month. But until then, remember, whether it's where you're visiting or where you're living, be sure to drink local everywhere.
Greg,
We're back.
hey, we got some beer
Hi.
events we need to talk about.
Yeah, someone threw me a curve though with the first one. Is that you?
That was me.
Okay, cool. We're gonna go on a little limb here, but what do you got first here?
So I just found this actually before we went to air. So Bare Bones Brewing, I guess as of last year, they decided they were going to start making People's Bach beer. So we remember People's Brewing. We had talked about People's Brewing,
Yeah,
the first Black-owned brewery in Wisconsin.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of backstory for this, but they said they're doing it again. So that would mean that they did it once before. So Bare Bones is bringing back a fan favorite from last year, People's Bach beer. Alongside this, they created a book. So for $5, 100% of the monies is going to the Society of Oshkosh Brewers. That book also gets you a homebrew recipe for your very own amber beer. So if you're a home brewer or an aspiring home brewer, but I think the biggest part of this is the people's beer. So they somehow acquired the recipe for it, and you can go and try it for yourself. And that is this weekend, so April 20th in
April
Oshkosh.
20th. Yeah. Yeah, you can find these details. It appears on Facebook. Under I would search Facebook for People's Bach and SOB book release.
Yeah.
That's the graphic that we got.
Yep.
Landon added a little late, so I wasn't able to add it to our presentation. But I will tweet this one out though too, to make sure everybody can get a hold of that. That's this week, and it's in Oshkosh, right?
Yep. Yep. So you can also go to Bare Bones Facebook page. They've got it too on there.
Excellent. I just wanted to say I opened up a Oberon. It's in season, y'all. It's not a Wisconsin beer, but it's one that clearly has an effect on us here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Check out Oberon. Get it soon. It's limited. Y'all know how that works. But yeah, Landon. So okay, cool. Lastly, it's People's Bach beer, y'all. And then the book release comes with it. And then what's that brewery again, Landon?
Bare Bones.
Bare Bones. Excellent.
Bare Bones.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, y'all. So that should give y'all enough there. So we have I was gonna put this on the news, but I figure we put it in the events, but it's either way, it's news or it's an event. Either way. Our friends at Rush River Brewing is celebrating its 20th anniversary, so we're back up in Landon's area, kind of ish.
Going all the way to the western part of the state. Yeah, River Falls.
Yeah, Rush River. I visited there with the homebrew club here one time. It's very, it was very, I was surprised how good of a range of beers that they had. I really liked the tap list. You're doing something right, Landon, if you're around for 20 years.
Right.
So
Yeah.
On Saturday is their 20th anniversary. They're celebrating on 420. Apparently, Landon, there's this big citywide festival going on that they're pretty much collaborating with. They're going to have some bands out there. They're going to have food, of course. All the Rush River beer that you can handle, and it should be a good time.
Yeah.
Any comments on Rush River before we move on?
Rush River is great. The tap room on the inside, at least the last time I was there, if you're looking for if you're one of these people that really loves tap room experiences, it's not quite the experience that you're going to get there, but they will have great beer. So
yeah.
It is the outside of it, as you showed in the picture there, is pretty indicative of what it looks like on the inside. So I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just telling you that if you're one of those, and I'm not one of those people that is super big on that it has to be a certain way on the inside. As long as your beer is good or great, and River Falls has got a ton of breweries around it, and there's a distillery in town too. So
yeah, and there's this big festival, so it should be a whole ass good time up there.
A lot of good people.
It gives me Rush River gives me Giant Jones Brewery vibes, where you walk, you're literally right next to the equipment. I mean, that's the ambiance. But to me, the ambiance at Giant Jones is the beer and Jessica America. But that's the ambiance.
and the people at Rush River are a lot like that. Super friendly, great people. So if you like to sit amongst the tanks, that is your place. So,
and again, 20 years. Cheers to that.
That's a hell of a run.
I mean, that's a great run. So
let's go with 20 more.
Yeah, shout out to them for that. Excellent. So this next event, Landon, it almost did not make the cut today, and I don't know why. It was just a lot of things going on. Chris not being here, curating our news. Kind of throws us into a frenzy a little bit. That's how important he is around here. Chris had an event tonight, so so when Chris doesn't do the news, it's sends me into a scramble. So, but I didn't find this last one until a couple hours before, and I was like, whoa, I almost didn't get this one, which is the Joint Beer Festival here, not here, but well, here in Wisconsin, but in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
is on Saturday, and it is put on by our friends. Why am I blanking here?
Eagle Park.
Eagle Park. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big festival. Apparently, look at that price. I was like 125 for VIP,
Right. Right.
104.5 for general. But hold on to the details, y'all. First of all, it's a 5-hour event starting at 1 p.m. It looks like there. And when so here is the ticket breakdowns. You have a VIP, you have a general admission. You get unlimited beer samples, you get a mixed 6-pack to take home of collaboration, of course, limited glass, unlimited munchy food buffets, and live music. So this seems to be a whole day event, y'all. Um, Joint Beer, Fest Beer is back once again. They're working with breweries, distilleries to bring unique collabs, 6 of which will be available in cans for you to take home.
Yep.
So there's that. It's a plus 21 event. It's indoors in case it's rainy or cold, little breezy out there in the lake. Let's see here. So then on the left here, Landon, for general admission, you get to take those 6 home. So then for VIP, you get to take those extra 2 in the middle there, plus the 6. And then these other ones here are going to be available for you to buy to take home. So there'll be a bunch of take home for y'all. So that's nice. Here are the breweries that are going to be available there. Look at the bangers on top. 3 Sheeps,
Right.
Floyd. You got 840. You got one of my favorites. 2 of my favorites on the bottom row there. Supermoon and Youngblood. You got Old School Milwaukee. You got J. Henry, which is an amazing bourbon place out here. I don't know much about Goldfinger or G5, but I would be.
I've
And
had a lot of
1840.
G5 is good. I've had a lot of their beer. Yeah, I highly recommend.
All right. I
Yeah.
mean, this looks really, really good. So the food is included, y'all. So they have multiple munchy buffets.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the food, if that's a reflection of the food, it looks good.
Yeah.
So food is included in that, which is very, very good because it sounds like there's going to be some big beers and some distilleries, and yeah. So I'm not going to this, but I would be excited to go.
Yeah. Heck yeah. You
Right.
bet. Make
So
sure you
that
got a
is
sober driver because that's going to be a day.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's this week, y'all. This Saturday. So we have three big events this Saturday across the state. So Milwaukee, you got one. You got Rush River. I don't see anything in Madison this week, but we probably have something. But yeah,
I
so
would
that's
I would say there's a ton of places that have 420 events. I'm pretty sure I saw Oliphant's got one. I couldn't find it to put in the events. Because Oliphant's unique and they don't necessarily share all of their events across all of the social media platforms. So I love those guys, but
yep. Yep. So our next event is not this weekend, but the next weekend is a place that Landon and I visited last year together.
yeah,
It is the 2024 Spring Beer Festival at the Landing, one of the beer gardens in Milwaukee.
a beautiful beer garden, by the way. Yeah,
Excuse me.
it's beautiful. It's great. It's out on the water.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Well, no, this is the pool
isn't
one,
that
buddy.
all the pool? Still good.
Yeah. So good times. They're gonna have, they're gonna have Badger State, Youngblood, New Glarus, Lion's Tail, Central Waters. I mean, I just named 4 or 5 bangers right there. I don't even have to go on to say third space and New Belgium and Bells and,
By the time
and
you work to
indeed.
the you're already feeling it by the time you get to the the 4th or 5th one.
Yeah. I don't think this is a ticketed event, or maybe it is. Or actually, it looks like it is. Yeah, online tickets are $30 and limited to 100. So y'all gonna have to jump on
Yeah,
that soon. Yeah, remember this place, Landon? We were
yeah.
there.
I got you now. Yep.
Yep, the Landon, that was great. This is a 3 panoramic picture that I took so y'all can kind of see There's a lot of benches there, not much shade, so make sure you bring a hat. It shouldn't be that bad though, sun wise. We were there in June, so it was kind of hot at some point.
Right.
And this is one of the few times that us three have hung out together.
Yeah. Doesn't happen
So
very often.
yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, we had a good time. So this is why this event I was like, oh, this is a good cool event to talk about. So this is next weekend, y'all, at that place. I don't even know if the pool's gonna be open, but there's a pool like right there, and that
Right.
kind of made it a little bit a hectic place. But I don't think the pool's gonna be open. So and it's really walkable, especially if you
Yeah.
live close, it's really walkable. Nice little spot there. The beer, I don't know. We had the food. They had like snacks. The snacks were good. And the beer was the list was just great. I forget what the list was, but you remember that.
Any of those beer gardens, I didn't have a tough time finding anything to drink. So that, there was something at all of them. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so good.
So that's a good time. Y'all check that out on the social medias if you're in Milwaukee. There's another Milwaukee event coming up here, which is the River West Pub Crawl. I hear there's some history with this one, Landon, and it kind of petered out during the pandemic, like a lot of things beer wise, and
Yeah.
everything actually. How about
Right. Yeah.
but I believe it's back now, and it's our friends from the River West Syndicate. So it's Black Husky and Amorphic, and Gathering Place and Company. It looks like you buy a wristband, and there's other breweries and beer places involved. 12 to 7. As y'all can see, this looks like a Facebook post that we grabbed. So
Yep.
that's probably the best place for you to look for it. Is so I would search on Facebook River West Pub Crawl 2024. And yeah, River West is always doing things beer wise, and it's just not, again, another nice place to hang out in Milwaukee. If you're not from Milwaukee, it's a nice place to plant yourself and just try to go get some beer. A
Yeah.
nice little neighborhood setting. Milwaukee has a bunch of neighborhoods like that, and River West is one of the best ones. And all those breweries seem real tight too. They used to have that bus that went through, they used to pay for a bus that used to, go through all of them. And they all seem to try to have some kind of community. So I have a lot of respect for a lot of those breweries there as they try to keep it, you
Absolutely.
know what I mean? They try to work
Yep.
with each other to make, good beer. So, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that for sure. Joel says that Goldfinger makes amazing lagers. So, that's, another note for y'all. So
Also a great Bond movie, Goldfinger. So good.
look at that. Okay.
If you've never seen it, check it out, man.
Okay. I'm not against Bond, not against Bond. Let's see. Our next event is not now. So our next event is we featured you saw Joe that featured Oso and the Badger Beer Travels. Well, when we were talking to them, they let us know that this event was coming up. And it's a big one for them. Or Joel mentioned that too, the honor flight.
Yep.
So we're gonna say it's 3 days after our next Badger Beer Hour is May 15th. It's 3 days before that. So as y'all will see coming up, there's a reason why we're talking about it now. But if y'all are interested, they raised a whole bunch of money last year for the honor flight. I don't know if y'all understand or anybody knows what the honor flight is. Basically, it's a charity that helps send veterans to Washington. They pay for their flight. That's the honor flight part. They go to Washington and they go to the memorials, and they take all the veterans around for free and they get the veterans together. So it's kind of like a reunion for them a little bit, and they meet new veterans, or
Yep.
they meet new friends who are veterans. How about that? Not new veterans. Anyway, you all know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Also, they apparently they do this every year. They do a fun run or walk, and you can get all the details on Oso's website. But here is why I say that when I saw this, I figured we had to talk about it because if you could see, all the first slots are sold out. So you can only get to the second slot, which is 12 to 1, and I guess that first slot is everybody wants to get done. Plus, it's a little bit cooler, I would assume. in May, a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you know how our Mays could be. They could be like
Oh yeah.
freezing or they could be 100.
Oh yeah.
So um so there's that y'all. So that's also um coming up here in May. So if y'all were interested and y'all going to be around in Stevens Point area, or you just want to support the cause, which is a really great cause, the honor flight, we highly recommend y'all dip into that. That's great. And then lastly, Landon, before we get out of here, I always want to highlight the Milwaukee Magazine, Chris's place of work, but they
Yep.
do great. They If you are in Wisconsin, if you are in Milwaukee, and you're a beer person, I don't know how you can't dip into this. We What we usually do is we see this and we usually grab one or two, but we can't put all 16 events here for y'all. So
Right.
jump on that. There's a whole level of tastings and beer drops and other great things going on in Milwaukee that we don't have time to mention here. But so I put it up there, Milwaukee Magazine beer events. If you go there and search it, you'll be able to find it. I highly suggest you find this. I tweet it out every week, so if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to find that. But yeah, I'm highly recommend that. So yeah, on that note, Landon, I think we got all the events. There's a lot going on, and as we warm up to the summer, there's going to be more. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, yeah. It's
It
If y'all don't know
absolutely.
Honor Flight, y'all should check it out.
Yep.
It's really good. Good times. Respect to the veterans. And yeah, Landon, I guess it's time for us to have a beer spotlight. This is Joel's first beer spotlight. Joel has a special beer that he curated and that's available. Well, Joel will tell you.
Hey, it's me again. I'm back. And as Greg said, this is my first time doing the beer spotlight, so no pressure or anything. But I do have a very fun beer to highlight that I just managed to snag over the weekend for 414 Day here in Milwaukee, April 14th. For those not familiar, 414 is Milwaukee's area code. So every April 14th, there's a whole bunch of events all around the city. Different breweries do fun releases. Businesses have all sorts of events. And I went to two different ones. I'll talk about another one, I think, during our wrap up. But the first one I stopped in at was at Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard at American Family Field. And I know I hinted at this. I think we talked about this earlier when we were discussing the Lake Louis Brewery in the baseball stadium. But if people are not fully aware, if you have not been there yet, there at American Family Field, that last year Leinenkugel's opened up the Barrel Yard, which is an actual pilot brewery and restaurant inside the stadium that you can visit year round. It's better to go on non-game days, actually, because on game days, you're going to have reservations to be able to sit out on the patio and everything, because they do have a deck that actually looks out on just perched up on the left field fence, looks out to the field. It's amazing. And I was looking up, they do have, it's a 3-barrel pilot brewing system. So a lot of the beers that you can get on tap there are just your regular run-of-the-mill Liney's beers, but they do also brew some small batch stuff, which is one of which I have here in this crowler. Give a little look here of the can there. It's got the Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard logo on there. And what we have here, you can see for the 414, special 414 beer, it's a Berliner Weiss, 3.8%. And they brewed this, like I said, specifically for Milwaukee Day, because this is a classic kind of German style beer. I think that's what they were kind of going for. And here's a little ASMR there on the crowler. But I was able to go there and give it a try fresh on tap for the opening release. And here we go. So, first of all, for a Berliner Weiss, this is going to be your very run-of-the-mill, like straightforward example of the style. Many people now, if you see a Berliner Weiss on tap, it may have, a syrup or other types of natural fruit flavors added. I know like raspberry is a very popular one, but no matter where you go, there you oftentimes will see it with some sort of adjunct in it. And in this case, though, this is just your base everyday Berliner Weiss, which I tend to like. So it is very light, I would say, overall, both in body and taste. And I really like it. It is not as tart as when you think Berliner Weiss. It does have a little subtle tartness to it, but it's got a little more of the bready kind of characteristics that you would see. And the 3.8%, obviously, it is, like I said, light in body. So you could drink quite a few of these. Crushing this while sitting and watching the brewers would definitely be enjoyable. I believe the beers, like this beer, this would only be available there at the Barrel Yard. So if you want to try it, you're going to have to go either to a game or you're going to have to drive out there on a non-game day and go and check it out. Like I said, they're open year round. If you've ever been to a game but haven't been in the last 2 years, it's where the TGA Fridays used to be. So you can go and check them out. The brewing system's right there. But yeah, it's very nice. It's very well made. Like I said, it's not quite as tart, I think, as what many may picture for a Berliner Weiss. But that, I think, in many ways makes it a little more approachable, especially as they're trying to market it to the masses. At the ballpark where you have people coming in to watch a game that may or may not be super into craft beer and are popping into Liney's and they're trying a few things. This makes it a little more approachable. So yes, very good. I'm going to probably drink the rest of this tonight and really quite enjoy it. So Greg, you can go ahead and take it away now again.
Hello. Welcome to Last Call. All right. Last call is when we talk about ourselves reluctantly, or some of us not reluctantly. But for this part, we're gonna do this.
Happy birthday!
Oh man!
Woohoo! do we have candles up there that we can count or anything, or are we just not doing that?
There'd be too many. We don't need to do that.
Fire hazard.
What's up, Landon? What did you do for your birthday? This is
I was in Las Vegas for my birthday for a work conference. So yeah,
well, the first part was really cool, and then you.
Well, it was for NAB, so anybody that's been in broadcasting or has ever been around broadcasting knows that NAB is the biggest broadcasting conference. Used to only be available to those that were actual members of the NAB, but fortunately, they've opened it up to everybody else now, so you don't have to be a member anymore. So yeah, learned a lot of stuff about AI, which is scary and great all at the same time. But yeah, 4 days out there, and I don't think I ever got any less than 13,000 steps in a day. So a lot of walking.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else going on with you?
I'll be pouring beer a little more often at Lazy Monk in the months of May and June. So you'll see me there. I'll be hosting trivia there tomorrow night. So if you're in the area, come down and play trivia. Otherwise, next Thursday is the last trivia at Lazy Monk for, I guess, the season. So, patio weather, people don't want to be inside, that kind of thing. So, so trivia will come back in the fall. But if you want to play, it's going to have to either be this week or next week.
Excellent. Yeah. Joel, what's been going on with you?
Nothing too crazy much here. But like I mentioned, I went to a couple 414 day events. This is the other one that I wanted to highlight. This was at Component Brewing there in Bayview inside the Lincoln Warehouse, one of 3 breweries in that building. I know at some point we're going to have to talk about that on Badger Beer Travels, I think.
We absolutely are.
But this was a collab that they did with Friends of the Domes, which, for people not familiar, That's the Mitchell Park Horticulture Domes there in Milwaukee. You can kind of see them if you're driving into the city. They're the huge domes with different flora and fauna and everything. This was done. Some of the proceeds actually went to the domes, which I think is much needed. And the 3 beers. So as you can see, they are named for each of the domes: the Tropical Dome, the Desert Dome, and the Floral Dome. And these beers were kind of made to actually represent these domes because they were made with ingredients that you could possibly find in their representative domes. Now, they didn't actually go into the domes and pick and like find things to put into the beer, mind you. But the Flora Dome is a hazy IPA. So, I think that they're trying to get some, floralness, I guess was kind of the goal of that. The Desert Dome was the best of the 3, in my opinion. I enjoyed all 3, but the Desert Dome was the star of the show. It was a Goza with agave and lime. And then the Tropical Dome was a fruit sour with soursop pineapple and pink guava. And I actually have a can of each of them sitting in my fridge that I'm going to be partaking in at some point. I've got one of my neighbors enjoys craft beer, and I told him he'd have to come over and we could do a little tasting with them, do little mini flights. The picture there, you can see they're not quite in the right order. The beer on the far right was a lager that I just tossed in because I was saying that I kind of just wanted to try all 3 before ordering one. And she's like, well, how about you just do a flight? And I'm like, yeah, I'll just toss in one of your lagers there on the end. But you can see the beers there. I believe the one on the left is the Goza, then the sour, followed by the hazy IPA next to the lager. So good beers. Good cause, and just an awesome collab in general. I think it's a really fun collab for Milwaukee Day for the brewery to be able to partner with the domes like that. I wish more breweries did that. I know there was a few other breweries that maybe did some releases, and a lot of other breweries had at least events with live music and giveaways and whatnot. But these types of collabs really just piqued my interest, and it shows because I showed up and bought beer to bring home. So yeah, other than that, been pretty low key. I'm hopefully going to get to some new breweries, visiting in-laws down in Iowa this weekend. So I might be able to get to a couple new ones. Nice. But yeah, just plugging away. Otherwise, enjoying the local Milwaukee craft beer the more I get settled in back home.
Excellent. As y'all saw a little preview, the Wisconsin Beer Baron is talking about not Wisconsin beer in his latest column. So we have that. But we're not going to talk about Wisconsin beer. This is a good one, so I can't really.
Yeah.
He wrote this big ass, long ass thing, y'all. So check it out. Madison.com up there. It's a little squinty. I had to fit it in. But y'all can Google Wisconsin Beer Baron to check that out. It's a really long, big, healthy article about one of the best beers and craft beer across the board. Period. End. It's just a great beer. If y'all never had it, I'm sorry. If y'all ever want to make the venture out to Northern California, y'all, I would highly suggest that as a beer vacation or a beer excursion, or
it's a really cool little spot. Just a classic brew pub. They're another one that just has everything in the world on tap. Pretty much, it feels like.
Yeah, you may not be lucky to make it a employee type thing, like a work junket, like Landon just did. But yeah, no, yeah, it's a good time out there. So, I'll shout out to Chris for that. I'm not sure what else Chris is doing, but he'll tell us next month. So on Friday, Brothers and Brews, we don't have a guest, so it'll just be Doug and I. If that's your thing, we understand if it's not. That and I'm pretty much confirmed to go to the 2024 Pride Beer Dabbler up in Minneapolis. I went to the Winter Dabbler and had the time of my life. I need to tell that story more. It was fun. It was a literal blizzard during the whole thing. It was every kind of Minnesota winter beer festival that you ever would have. So now I'm going to try the Pride Dabbler in June. We'll check it out. Having a dad weekend with some dads, and we're going to do that on a Friday night. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's what's coming up with me. The next Badger Beer Hour, y'all, is Wednesday, May 15th. We'll probably have Chris back because he's already working on an interview. And Joel's probably already working on the Badger Beer Travels. And Landon and I have not started on an event, so don't go there. Don't do that. So,
but if
those
you
are
have
harder
events,
to work ahead. Yeah, those are harder to work ahead on.
but if you have events, you should submit them now. That way we can start
Yes.
working on them as soon as we got them. You know,
We can pull up we can pull up the slide with
that's
all
right,
the contact information there, because this isn't just about brewery openings and closings. You know, if you have
that's right.
anything else you want to reach out to us about, this is where you should do that.
Yeah.
So
We like
take a
gossip too.
screenshot.
So
Yeah.
we like gossip. So if you know any
Sure.
breweries that don't like each other or any kind of dirt, we'll keep it clean. Though. We won't.
Yeah.
We won't disclose it. We'll just
if we get enough of that, we'll start a whole new segment.
Yeah.
Oh, brewery gossip.
Brewery gossip. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you
sources though?
You're already taking the pledge to spearhead that one, then I take it.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landon make the transition.
Yeah.
you know it's serious when I tell Landon to make the transition.
Make a transition. We'll be
all right,
over
y'all. We're gonna make that transition out of here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had a big crowd again. We seem to be having big crowds now, so that's a good thing. And we all love Wisconsin beer, so we just want to share our love of Wisconsin beer with y'all as we do every month. I want to thank Joel, and Landon and Chris, even though Chris did no work this month. Let that record be known. None. Normally,
Lazy.
though, everybody. I don't know what we're gonna do with them. Right.
Jeez.
Right. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but we won't hold a vote to throw him off the island just yet. But we might. He better. Yeah, we might. He better shape up. But no, all fun. Jokes aside, everybody puts in a lot of work for this, so we love doing it. It's a passion project for us, and we just want to thank y'all for enjoying it with us. So on that note, I'm gonna hit the outro. Thanks again, Joel. Thanks, Landon. Thanks, Chris. Thanks the whole crew. We'll see y'all next month, May 15th, for the next Badger Beer Hour, Wisconsin's
Cheers to that.
Premium and only live stream dedicated to beer. We're the best out there.
Amen.
You know why? Because we're the only ones.